I'm Jay.
And today we are going to be reviewing the very new and very wonderful Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
That's the manual.
Oh, it's the manual.
Hey, have you seen this manual?
Hey, it's pretty nice, yeah? So the game starts out in Eastern Europe in the Middle Ages at 1047, and basically a dark spell has overtaken the land, and dead souls are no longer able to pass on, like to go to heaven or to hell or what have you. So they're all chilling around in purgatory, basically. And then also all these demons have been unleashed onto the earth.
That's where Mike is right now.
Aww. So you play Gabriel Belmont, and he is a Brotherhood of the Light, and he has some crazy moves and some crazy weapons, and he's come to basically sort this stuff out. You are trying to resurrect your wife, and you need to find these two masks, the Mask of the Devil and the Mask of God. And he needs the Mask of God because it's rumored that it can bring the dead back to life. Ooh. And then his wife sort of helps him on the way a little bit. She's like a spirit, you know, chilling around. Out of war.
Oh God.
Oh, I think I'm coming down with something. I will say, this man is better looking than Kratos, but I still love Kratos, he's the man. So how did you like the graphics?
I thought that there was moments in this that looked better than any other game I've ever played.
Ever.
Yeah, the amount of detail in this game is unbelievable. Every frame is almost like a painting. In God of War 3, it kind of gets redundant. In this, it's changed up at least. You're going into the snow, you're going into jungles, going into forest. You're not going into the jungle though.
There's a retractable pyrokinetic chain cross that you have. Yeah, I know. It's a mouthful, but that is the technical name of it.
You're saying they replaced the whip?
Yes. Well, it is a whip as well. And it's upgradable, which is awesome.
It's kind of funny because it's sort of the Blades of Chaos.
Weird.
You know, it's debatable. I want you guys to write in the comments below. Do you think it's a God of War 3 ripoff or not if you've played it? So I'm going to go on record and say that I had more fun playing this than God of War 3.
Take that back.
Nope.
Shut your mouth.
Nope. Greek mythology's your thing. Undead, mine. Necrophilia, mine. I like the undead.
Oh, you can be the undead soon. Robert Carlyle does the voice of Gabriel. Robert Carlyle, you guys know probably from Train Spotting. He's
the guy that stabs everybody.
The woman who plays his wife is the lady from Californication. You know, the hot wife of David Duchovny in that show? It's her, Natasha. And the narrator, and also he plays a character Zorbeck in the game. It is Sir Patrick Stewart. I didn't know he got knighted. That's really cool. But he has a great voice, and it's very enjoyable.
I was knighted. Is this a God of War 3 knockoff? Yes. A lot of people are going to argue that it is, and a lot of people are going to say, well, it's a platform adventure game. Of course it's going to be a lot like God of War 3. When you make a game like God of War 3 that's near perfect, any game that comes after that is going to steal ideas. And they say, if you're going to steal, steal from the best. So, Konami, good job. I personally don't necessarily agree it's a ripoff. I think that it's a totally different tone, different story. It's Castlevania, but is it really Castlevania? They kept the vampires and the werewolves running around, but
now they have spiders and trolls and giants.
You know, for the most part, it's like they watched Lord of the Rings, then they played God of War 3, and they also saw some of the Shadow of the Colossus Titan battles where you're jumping up on all those bad guys, big tall ones. We put them together, and we'll make Castlevania.
What kind of accent was that?
I don't know. It was a good one.
Name that accent. Quickly, write it below. Quickly, quickly!
It's a collection of good parts of other games. I mean, there's nothing really original here. And the story itself, that's the most intriguing part of this game. All of the gameplay you've played before. There's nothing new here, really. So unfortunately, it's called Castlevania, but you don't end up in a castle. What's the deal? You name the game Castlevania, you don't go in a castle, then what?
Another thing about this game that was great, and I noticed even in the demo, is that the audio is wonderful. The music
Mind-blowing.
is lovely. It's a Spanish composer, and apparently it was a 120-piece orchestra and 40 choir singers. So, like, you know that it's going to be good stuff. I love games where they spend lots of time on that. Like God of War, again, very reminiscent.
There's one thing that I want to point out that differs these two games. Castlevania Lords of Shadow is the most cinematic platform adventure game that I've played.
Whoa. So you're saying that this game's cinematics beats the beginning of God of War 3 when you're fighting Leviathan and he's like, BAM! BAM! It beats that? Really? Really?
Yeah, well, if you download the demo, you'll notice right away it's very cinematic. The way that those werewolves come over the fence, the way the camera's zooming in on them.
Really? But I mean, that demo, the cinematics, and that didn't get me nearly as pumped up as the God of War one did.
Well,
but
it depends what tone of game you want to play. If you like Greek mythology and brutality, then you're going to love God of War 3. But in this sense, it's sort of this nostalgia thing because you grew up with Castlevania. Symphony of the Night obviously being the big one for me, but I grew up with Castlevania throughout my whole life. As soon as I came out of the womb, I had NES Castlevania in my head. I don't know how that happened.
Want to say that again?
Nope. So God of War was something that happened later in my life, and this game sort of sentimental and it has that nostalgia feeling, but it doesn't really connect to the old games. It's not even in the same canon of storyline. They've changed everything. I think it's a very, very promising franchise now. It's finally in 3D, and it finally works. Now for my score, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. Now everyone's going to say, we gave God of War a 9.5, but I did enjoy playing this a lot more than God of War. But there's some problems with the camera
that God of War really worked on. Like on the special features for God of War, they talked about how painstaking it was to get the cameras right.
You know, that's the difference between these two games. I think what the idea was, they wanted to keep it a cinematic game. They didn't want you to be able to show the story, they wanted to show the story. So they kept the camera the way they wanted it.
Yeah.
So I can actually appreciate that because it's like you're playing a film. Imagine you could watch a film and you could move the camera around, then it wouldn't be really necessarily the director's art anymore. You hear what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, but it's frustrating for gameplay sometimes because I kept getting my butt kicked because I couldn't see what was happening.
I can understand that. But in this sense, I like what the director has done. There's some moments that, unfortunately, it doesn't work.
Keep one eye open when you sleep. So one other of our complaints is that it comes on 2 discs if it comes on Xbox. So I feel like you just want to buy it on PlayStation, so you don't need to deal with that. And also Blu-rays don't scratch, which is also super awesome. That's why PlayStation's awesome. But seriously, 2 discs? Really?
Yeah, I think it's starting to show here.
Yeah, it's starting to show who's inferior.
Well, it's not inferior, it's just, it's starting to get a little annoying, Xbox. Come on.
Come on. Pick up your sacks.